Hey everyone, and welcome to 121 Overload. I am Peter, that is Matt, and this is a show where we talk about movies. We do this particular show once per month, and the way this one works is, the discussion is like any other discussion show we do, but our patrons on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV and the $5 tier and up, they get to vote on this particular show. I pick a film, Matt picks a film. The idea is that we both pick a film that we love, and it goes head to head, and our patrons vote on which one we'll do. And not always, but sometimes we'll pick a film we know the other person won't like, because we know each other's tastes. And in this particular case, my pick won, and it is one which I was expecting Matt to hate with a passion. And that film is Under the Skin, which is a few years old, 2013. It's a science fiction film, which stars Scarlett Johansson, directed by Jonathan Glazer. And the plot of the film is that she is an alien that is taking the appearance of a human female, and she goes through Scotland and lures men into her trap for some reason. But
I wish she had lured you into her trap. And everybody that voted for this can go to that trap as well.
Oh, I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah. Let's poke at the bear. Then when we end up missing an arm, we'll all know why. So we poked at the bear.
So this was... I put this in, and I didn't necessarily mean to pick something that was going to piss off Matt this much. And from his initial reaction here, I'm getting the impression that he did not enjoy this film.
No. You remember when you had me watch Only God Forgives?
Well, that was before we had shows for this kind of thing, but yes,
Of course.
Yeah.
But you're like, yeah, you'll probably like it. And we didn't know each other as well. and then we had a conversation about it, and I was just like, I just don't get it. I mean, I like, compared to Under the Skin, Only God Forgives was fantastic.
Oh my.
And I really didn't like the Only God Forgives is, it's Nicholas Winding Refn and Ryan Gosling reteaming, and I love Drive. Drive is so good, and so Pete tells me to watch that one, and I hated it. I was just like, "What's up with everything? It's like a dream. Things don't make sense." And Pete's like, "Yeah, but it's about the atmosphere and the mood," and I was like, "No, that story had no story."
There was a story, but that's for another time to discuss.
Yeah.
Slight little bit of trivia on that. I don't know how true this is. I just heard this from another podcast, but apparently Refn was kind of shocked by the success of Drive. Like, he was taken aback. He's like, "Oh, this is successful. I've never had this before. Oh, I need to make something that's so anti-mainstream. No one but the artist of guys will like it." And that was the intention with Only God Forgives. I don't know how true that is, but I kind of love that idea that he went, "Oh no, too many people like this one. I need to make something weirder."
Yeah.
That was the philosophy.
Well, if that was the case, mission accomplished.
So, Under the Skin, yes, it's we'll start spoiler free. I think we can talk. We can talk a bit about it without spoilers. I think. And we'll give you a warning before spoilers, and we'll see.
I'll give you my spoiler right now. Nothing freaking happens.
Plenty of things happen, Matt. Plenty of things.
Man.
Plenty of things.
Man.
So this is a very kind of Kubrick-esque kind of. It's not Lynch. I feel like you would want to say Lynch. I don't think it's very Lynch at all.
This is what I've learned. I have a new least favorite filmmaker, and it's no longer David Lynch. It's Glazer, right? It's Glazer, right? That's this guy's name?
Jonathan Glazer, which, by the way, the name Glazer is amazing. Like, I would be so lucky to be called Glazer.
Yeah, well, Glasgow Laser. That's what I think it's short for. Anyways, yeah. Lynch, I've learned I might not like a lot of Lynch. It turns out I like Lynch fans less than Lynch movies, I think. But because I enjoyed Blue Velvet, I didn't enjoy Mulholland Drive as much. But yeah, so Lynchian does not describe that. This is methodical. and not in the way that Lynch is. You know, Lynch is this methodology. I don't even know the words. This movie's broken my brain. I guess he has these methods in which he tells the story that most of the time cuts the crap out. Glazer's just like, oh no, we're gonna watch somebody walk down an entire length of a football field. We're not gonna cut away once. Like, man, like Lynch would give some nice arty dissolves as they're heading towards the camera. Glazer's like, nah, none of this. Man. And I realized this is a movie for people that watch too many movies. Like, I watch a lot of movies, but I don't watch like you. Like, again, look at the wall behind you. Like, you take loving movies to a whole other level, right? Mm-hmm. And you watch a whole lot of them, a lot more than I do. And so if you need something that's like I don't want to call it a palate cleanser, but I don't have anything else, something that's a break from typical movie and storytelling, then this is for you. Me, I like typical storytelling. I like there to be A happens, B happens, and then C happens.
I'm going to drop some truth bombs on Matt here.
Here we go.
Some truth bombs. So over 2013...
You don't like movies.
This came out... I mean, this is listed as 2013, but it actually didn't see the public until 2014. You know, it was at festivals and things in 2013. Mm-hmm. You know, 2013, we had Her, which Scarlett Johansson voiced an operating system. It was a bizarre love story. Also a really good film. Then 2014 had this, and this was relatively close to Winter Soldier, right? Which obviously also had her playing Black Widow. Of those three movies, I think Winter Soldier is easily the weakest of the three.
God, I want to punch you so bad right now. If we were the same moon, you'd be in a headlock.
And that's
there'd be people breaking us up.
Just to be clear, I like Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier is a good movie. I'm just saying, Under the Skin.
I don't understand that, Pete. Even on your artiest level where you're telling me to watch Paris, Texas, and I've been putting it off because I'm sure that's going to come up to a vote, and you know,
Paris, Texas isn't that arty though. Paris, Texas is just a really damn good drama.
Right. So, but even at that, man, this, I don't have words without going into spoilers because a lot of my problems with it come from basically the lack of action, and it's based off a book because man, I've had some days of this gestating to do some research, and the book actually sounds like there's stuff to it.
Oh, see,
none of which I picked up on.
What Glazer did is Glazer came along and said, "Nah, this book's got too much stuff in it. Let's get rid of all that. Get rid of all this, and we're just going to have this. This is just nice and simple, and we're going to do that, and we're going to do it with an exceptional amount of tone and atmosphere, and an exceptional sense of realism, because it is ultra realistic, and a lot of that was accomplished by the fact that a lot of the people she picks up and actually takes back to the lair, those are actors, but early on there's like a montage of her like talking to different people because she's riding about in a van. She's driving a van around Scotland, and she's talking, pulling guys off the side of the road to ask them for directions and things. Some of those people are not actors. Some of those people actually didn't know they were in a movie. Obviously, they had to agree to it after the fact because otherwise we wouldn't see the footage. And I imagine there was maybe several they did do that with, and they said, no, I don't want to be in a movie. But you know, they've got Scarlett Johansson in a wig, and she looks kind of different, and she's driving around. There's something ultra real about the way this is filmed, and the way it just kind of looks around at people, and like, you know, because there'll be montages where she's looking at people on the street, but it won't just be lots of good-looking people. You actually get the feeling, no, this is just lots of random people. And it has kind of this real
almost as if the director just set up a camera and was like, here, this is what wherever in Scotland looks like, and we're going to get everybody. Like...
It's a very down-to-earth science fiction film, but it has that dark brooding tone. It has that dark... And I think things I would compliment it for is... it's very rare that you get to see a woman in the predator role. if you will,
Yeah.
where she's the dangerous one, and that flips a lot of dynamics on its head. It plays with that throughout the movie, especially as she sort of goes through her arc, which she does have, much as Matt might dispute and say nothing happens. There is things there. And like you say, it's very methodical. There's lots of long shots. There's lots of long scenes where it really lets the moments sink in. The whole idea that like it's like a small fraction of what's happening in the world, and we're just getting one little glimpse into something as it's happening. It's great stuff. Here's a story. I went to see this at the theater when it came out, and the opening of the movie. So this is the very first moment. There's this music that plays. This is the part where I was like, okay, this is very Kubrick, because it was reminding me a lot of 2001 and stuff.
Yeah. I watched this through my Apple TV, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes, because it's downstairs and it's hooked to Wi-Fi and whatnot, sometimes it takes a little bit to get going. I didn't realize it was going for a solid minute and a half because there's just black and a light tone. And I was like, it says it's going, but it's not going.
There's like a circular bit of light, and it's very sort of abstract. You're not really sure what you're looking at. And at one point, it looks like maybe it's planets, like you're in space, and it's all these planets. But then it becomes clear as it goes forward that it's actually the formation of an eye. Eventually, it sort of comes, it looks like an eye, and then it blinks, and then it's an actual eye. And it's like, basically the idea is this is the creation of her eye, her body, her human form. But it's very abstract. There's like a good 5 minutes where it's basically like an overture as this is happening. It's all just these shapes and things are coming together. And I remember sitting in the theatre and looking around me, and no one else who was around was prepared for this. And I just sort of sat, rubbed my hands together and went, "Oh, this is for me, baby. This is going to be artsy as shit, and I'm going to love every second of it."
Oh, man.
I do love this movie, Matt. And
usually when we have this discussion, I can always look at like our last one, like Diablo Week. You know, I get it.
Yeah, but you like that movie though.
Yeah, but something like Blue Velvet, I even get that, or Twin Peaks, like your love of Twin Peaks. I get all that. I watch this and I'm just like, I don't get it. I don't get what this is the dude that loves Aliens, like the movie. Like this is the dude that got me to watch all the Friday the 13th movies. And
I have diversity in my taste, Matt. That is perfectly natural.
Yeah, but when you say like the way that you say that you love it, I can't wrap my head around that. Like you say that you love this, like I say I love Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Like, and I remember you talking about this on an early incarnation of 1.21 when you went to the theater and saw it. And even then, I'm listening to the story. I was like, yeah, I like Scarlett Johansson, but this doesn't sound like it's for me. I think it ended up...
Which is why I've been giggling the entire time. Since we started this, as soon as you started talking, I've been basically giggling and had a smile across my face because... Yeah. I've just... You putting yourself through this... Or, more accurately, the patrons putting you through this.
Yeah, you guys, I have two fingers I'm holding up under the camera that I'm not going to show because I would like this to be advertiser friendly. So, but yeah. Even, her I thought was on the artier side. Spike Jonze, like.
Oh, absolutely is, yeah.
And I like that. That was a movie, years ago I would have been adverse to seeing, being like, kind of looks like hipster stuff, not for me, but I went and enjoyed myself, and it was a real fun, nice little story. And I like that Scarlett Johansson, despite being like one of the top actresses in Hollywood, took this chance to make this movie that I don't think a lot of people knew about. Like,
I think she bounces around. I think it's that whole idea. She'll do one for them, which is the big blockbuster, and then she'll do this little artsy movie where she gets to flex her muscles and like.
Question: which one was Ghost in the Shell?
Oh, that was the blockbuster. Yeah, that was soulless. Like, she didn't give a shit about that movie.
Yeah,
that was a paycheck.
I know. That's. I know. I was trying to make the joke, but it didn't land. Yeah. Much like Ghost in the Shell didn't land.
Funnily enough, this movie's a better Ghost in the Shell movie than Ghost in the Shell.
I'm gonna take your word for it because Ghost in the Shell is something that I've never. Even though she was in that, and I was like, yeah, I'm not seeing that movie. Not my thing. But Yeah, and then this one definitely. I'm going to say this, Pete, and I'm not going to say it lightly. This might be the worst movie going experience I've had in a while.
Alright, I thought you were
Um,
going to go even more extreme there, because I'm pretty sure I saw a tweet from you after you
yes.
watched this saying it might be the worst film you've ever seen. Which
No.
to that statement, I would say you've not seen enough, because I have seen so much bad, Matt, so
Yeah, but
much.
see, you
To to
you
to paraphrase the
I,
end of Blade Runner, I've seen things that you wouldn't believe.
yeah, and I believe that. I mean, our whole discussion about the Video Nasty series,
Oh
like,
yes, yes.
but I mean, at least this has a quality to it that some of those other movies don't. That's why that was mainly just for shock saying it's the worst thing I've ever seen. But as a whole complete movie, it is towards the
Well,
that spectrum of my taste
I
because
think when you watch it though, I think what you can't deny is those. Even if you hate it, even if you hate every single second of it, every fiber of your being, the director's getting exactly what he's trying to achieve. If that makes sense, like he's got a vision, he's doing it, he's executing it, and it's there. This isn't someone who doesn't know what they're doing. This isn't someone
yeah,
who
yeah, yeah,
is
that's
fumbling around with a camera and being like, oh, I guess
right.
we'll point it that
Oh
way.
man, I
Like,
remember when I was going through film school, going to some of those film festivals that my friends had movies in, and
yeah.
just some of the utter crap that was there.
In fact,
That
Tim just this past week we were recording I think the Nightmare on Elm Street review on I think Thursday, and he'd just gotten back from a festival because one of his friends had a short film in this festival, but he said he had to sit through just so much crap on either
yeah,
side of it. Uh,
yeah, and those are most of the time. I don't know about his, because his friend had a movie, but in film school, it's people that are still learning, and they're
hmm.
very every idea is super super important and precious, and so you end up it's a shorts festival, and some are clocking in at 27 minutes. And it's like, well, yeah, you're not in for the Oscars, like
No, to be fair,
you
Matt,
know.
anything under 60 minutes is classified as a short by the
Yeah,
Academy.
yeah, but at the UNLV Film School Short Festival, it's kind of understood keep it to 15. Like, let's not be that self-indulgent, Uh, but yeah, and I felt this. I don't. While I don't feel this is very self-indulgent on Glazer's part, there's, I mean, the long drawn-out sections of it. I'm just like, I bet I could fast forward through some of these, and Pete would never know unless I said something. I didn't do it because I couldn't allow myself
Integrity, Matt.
that.
Integrity.
Exactly. It's one of the three eyes. So, along with intensity and intelligence. So,
It only took Matt 10 minutes. Oh, sorry, it's actually close to 20. But you've made a wrestling reference. It just took you 18 minutes. There you go. Oh dear.
oof.
So before we get into spoilers, I'll give some more spoiler-free thoughts just because I actually like it. And I can tell you a bit more about
Yeah.
why I like it. Uh, so yeah, long, broody. I think the tone is there. Like I say, it feels very real, very atmospheric. There is a strong arc throughout the film. I think the film has a lot to say. I think it's one that you can kind of interpret in a couple of different ways. There's definitely one that I kind of like, where I feel what the movie's saying. It's actually a very dark and depressing movie once you actually start to think about kind of what it is saying. But it's told very well. It's very bleak. Everything feels bleak, and there's just some incredible stuff and some really kind of dark imagery throughout, which I really like. I love the music. I love especially the we'll call it the the Predator theme when she's actually striking, as it were, and it's all these strings. These really dark strings come in, like really great stuff. The visuals in those scenes as well are really great. It's very otherworldly, which kind of makes sense given
Hmm.
what we're talking about. She's an alien and all that. And I think that the plot itself is actually very stereotypical. It's very by the numbers science fiction, but it's how it's told and what it does with how it's told that makes it stand out so much. That gives it this brooding sense throughout. And yeah, if you wanted to not film it with so much style, you could probably cut it all down to about 25 minutes. Uh,
Hmm.
but that's kind of okay because the point of the movie is that it's a slow brood piece. It's an atmosphere piece. It's taking it all in, uh, and I thoroughly like it. So we're going to get spoilers. So full spoilers from this point on for Under the Skin. Uh, So, Matt, what,
Yeah.
what about the plot? What did you enjoy or not enjoy, as the case may
So
be?
the one bright spot of this movie was her interaction with the guy with the deformity. Um,
Yeah,
I'm not sure what deformity that actually is. Um,
I actually had it looked up. I'll double check. You
yeah,
you give your thoughts while
but
I.
but yeah, so she's going around and she's picking up these guys, and they all kind of assume she's a prostitute of some kind. And she picks up this young man with a facial deformity that's really never felt another person's touch. Like you kind of get that maybe his family, but it's been a very long time. And so she takes him back and into the van, and she lets him touch her face and her hand, and then it's just she takes him back to her nest or lair or whatever the hell that dark watery room was. You know,
Yeah, it's worth mentioning as well. At this point in the movie, she's already like taken two or three guys back here, and
yeah,
they've been harvested. We'll call it.
yeah. Whatever happened to them? Really, yeah, that was another thing. It was just like, what the hell? But she has a change of heart. Like she leaves this guy down there, and then goes and as she's leaving her lair, she catches herself in the mirror and has like this really reflective moment, and goes and basically sets him free.
Pun intended, by the way, with the
Yeah.
reflective
Well,
moment.
because
Yeah.
she stares at herself in the mirror for like 4 minutes straight, and I'm just like, look, I like the way Scarlett Johansson look, but let's get this thing moving, like
No,
So
every beat, let it linger,
oh,
baby.
man.
That's what this movie is. Now, the condition he has, it's the same as the Elephant Man disease,
Okay.
but it's neurofibromatosis. I probably
Okay.
butchered that, but that's the
Close
term.
enough for me.
Which, by the way, the actor actually has. It wasn't like a guy in
Yeah,
makeup. It was like a real
yeah.
person who's an advocate for people with disabilities or
Nice.
disfigurements in film. Like he's actually really got that condition, which gives it a real kind of again
Yeah.
realism and authenticity. Which even just like the driving in the night feels very authentic. Like it really feels. This is what it looks like when you're driving at night. Like it doesn't feel like it glossed
No,
up or anything like that.
no.
So yeah, so you sort of you pointed out that that's kind of the big turning point for her character in the film, is that she arrives and she like drives around. She kind of talks to some guys and she basically tries to like deduce like are these people going to be missed? Like do you have a girlfriend?
Right.
Do you live alone? Are you on your own right now? Like basically to look for the victims that are more kind of like not going to be is noticed that they're gone.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's kind of like the Pony Express where they only took orphans because you never know if they're going to come back, and you weren't going to have to pay a thing to the family.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
she does it a couple of times. We see her take it to this really dark room where it's like she's almost walking on water, but as the guy walks behind her, naked, she starts to sort of disrobe, but she only gets maybe so far, and it's kind of luring them in. It's literally sort of reeling them into the trap, and the guy as they're walking, they kind of walk into water without realizing it, and they just keep walking, and eventually they're underwater. It's the second time you see what it actually looks like underneath there, where they're completely naked, they're floating in this abyss, and
Yep.
even though it's kind of like water, you can tell they filmed it in water. It does kind of have this feel that it's not really water. Like it feels
I,
different.
I I guess I took it as water just because
I
you
think
know.
it's different. It definitely felt otherworldly to me. But he
uh,
sees like the previous victim there, and he basically self implodes. Like whatever they do to them, they kind of like look older and older, and then they eventually just implode into a husk, and there's just this floating skin where they once were. And it's a very cool effect. Again, it's very ethereal, which is how I describe a lot of the movie. Actually, it's very ethereal.
Yeah.
That's kind of what's happening. So it's actually before she meets this character with the disfigurement. There's some more scenes of her like driving around and looking down the streets and things like that. And it's up until this point, all the shots were all of like men. It was all like vulnerable, possibly vulnerable men.
Hmm.
And after the second sort of victim, she starts noticing other types of people. She starts noticing children. She starts noticing other women and stuff like that. And she notices different types of people. And it's like she almost starts to recognize other things in humanity. It's not just the one type of person. And because of the type of person she's typically going after, there are all these kind of like arrogant little hotshot assholes who like think, oh, a girl is
Yeah.
asking me to get in the van. Of course I'm going to have sex with her because I'm
Hmm.
I'm macho and I'm it's this kind of toxic masculinity, which is kind of one of the things that I like about the movie, is it kind of spins that on its head. Like, the victim she goes after, like, they're so sexually arrogant that they're not in danger. Like, if this was the other way around, if this was a guy in a van talking, pulling over and talking to girls,
women,
you would be creeped out. You would be like, run
well,
right now.
And the authorities would be notified. Like, not one person, you get the feeling, like, thought this was strange. Like, all the guys were just like, yeah, chick in a van? Sweet.
Yeah. Not Scarlett Johansson in a van? I'm way into this. Let's go in the van.
Yeah.
And when she gets to the guy with the disfigurement, and he's going to the supermarket in the middle of the night because, as she doesn't understand, but he's like, oh, people wind me up when I go during the day. He goes at night because there's less people there.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's nighttime, he can sort of hide a bit more. And she keeps prodding at him, but part of the reason why this works, and it's kind of this final tipping point for her to, like, actually see that our victims are, like, maybe humanity is more than just cattle, is that he's the first one who doesn't react the same way that all the other men have done so far. All the other men so far have just given her compliments and they're trying to get into her panties, basically. Whereas he is very nervous, he's very timid, he's very, like, kind of respectful and is scared of her. And like, she's never seen this before, and this, like, gives her a different reaction. So when she actually lures him back and she takes him into the trap, and then she has that reflective moment, as you said, and then we see that she actually lets him go. I mean, he's still naked and he's just running through the countryside trying to get home, and it doesn't end well for him because the other alien in the motorbike that we've seen, the one who kind of sets her up with her van and makes sure she's like, checks in on her a couple of times and makes sure everything's going okay. He never speaks.
Handler, if you will.
Yeah, he's very silent. But he's very intimidating riding about in his motorbike, and that's actually some of the shots that I think are the most beautiful, is him on the bike, like, at night time.
Yeah, dude, I love motorcycle commercials too. Like, that's what it felt like to me.
So dismissive, so dismissive.
Yeah.
But he chases him down. It's almost like he's also a cleaner. Like, he deals with the aftermath of some of these things, and he finds him and, like, just kills him and puts him in the car and, like, drives off. And then he begins to look for her because she basically goes AWOL after this. She decides to ditch the van, and she goes into, like, this small village somewhere, and she goes off to do other things. But so it's ultimately what the plot of the movie is that she kind of, like, notices humanity is maybe actually not so bad, and she kind of discovers her own humanity, possibly, because she doesn't really agree with what her race is doing on the planet. But what I think is really fascinating about the film, and where I think the real depth comes from, in a really dark way, is that it's when she stops being a predator and she starts to open up, and she tries to do different things. She tries to eat a bit of cake, and it doesn't go so well. She vomits it out. She meets a guy who is kind of nice to her and tries to, like, offer her shelter, and, like, maybe he has a motive, but he seems nice enough about it. Like, he seems to genuinely be trying to help. And
they spend the day together.
Spend a couple of days together, and but we see that she gets scared because she almost thinks that he's leading her into a trap, and he's not. But when they try and have sex later, that also does not go well. Partly because her body's not actually built for it. Like, she's not actually kind of intended to actually be using it in that way. But again, it's very reflective. She's constantly looking at herself in the mirror. She's looking at herself in the mirror naked. She's analysing her body, like, what is humanity, and what is happiness, and all these things. But what I think makes it what gives it the depth and what makes it so dark is that later on in the film, this other guy finds her and tries to rape her. That's kind of what her final climax is when she's out in this forest. And there's something really sinister about the idea that she saw good in humanity. She wanted to be a part of it because it was better than her own species. But as soon as she did, the real ugliness of humanity turned round and kind of bit back. And it was kind of like, because this is the thing, like, we've had this trope in a lot of sci-fi movies, this idea that an alien or even a robot, like, finds humanity and it's like, oh, humanity's actually
Johnny Five.
Yeah, it's worth having, and it's worth a good thing. I want to be part of that race. I want to be part of this. But there's something really dark about the movie turning around saying, no, it's not actually that good at the end. Like, you were fooled into this, and it's actually kind of toxic, and it's really bad. And this guy, when he tries to rape her, he ends up, like, ripping a part of her skin off, and we see what she really is inside. We get a glimpse of it earlier on in one of the kill scenes, but it basically, like, she's there and she pulls off her skin, and she's this sort of jet black kind of alien figure, and he comes back and just douses her with gasoline and sets her on fire. That's his first instinct. I don't understand this. I'm going to kill it.
Right.
And there's just something so like profoundly depressing and dark about it's really is a criticism about how awful humanity is. That if we don't understand something, we will just burn it. And she becomes vulnerable. She's in power. When she's the predator, she is the one in power. Earlier on in the film, there's this like gang of like thugs like sort of start like attacking the van, and she just kind of shrugs it off and drives away. She doesn't care.
No.
She's in control. But then when she actually lets herself become vulnerable, she is completely screwed over. It's almost like if you're looking at it from like a gender roles point of view, and like the first half of the movie's kind of got it flipped on its head because she's the predator and she's in control.
Mm-hmm.
But the minute she becomes part of the human race, or she tries to become part of the human race, she then gets all of the baggage that comes with that for a female, in that all the sexual assault and harassment and the way they're treated in society. It's really a critical movie in that sense, and Matt is bored to tears because he doesn't care about any of this.
I mean, I do, but I felt there's a better way to deal with it than I want something that, to me at least, feels substantive instead of so ethereal. You know, like those are good points to be made, but when they're coming so far in between, and it's lost my attention, you know, because I don't care about the character. I'm just like,
I think ultimately your problem with the film, your number one problem, is not really what the idea of the film is, not really the story it's telling. It's just about how it's told.
That's exactly, and that usually goes back to most of the things I don't enjoy, where like there could be something there that I enjoy, but the way in which it was executed, that's where I usually run into the problems. I'm trying to recall some stuff I really didn't enjoy, but it's hard right now because I tend to like most things, you know, and I have a pretty decent sliding scale on that, you know. And it's not. I've had people accuse me of not liking things because it's too heady, and it's like, no, I can watch heady things, you know. Like, I don't know if Zodiac is considered heady, but I mean that's my favorite Fincher film.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean,
you know, and that's as methodical of a movie as he made. You know, that thing's like near 3 hours, and you've gone on a decades-long journey with these characters. You know, it feels epic, but. Yeah, it was just the way that in which it was told that a lot of those themes resonated with me, but by the end of the movie, I was kind of like, well, I didn't care. I didn't have sympathy as much for this character. And it's nothing on Scarlett Johansson's part, you know. I feel like she was doing the best of her ability. So, but yeah, it was just one of those where I just didn't enjoy it.
I did feel sympathy for her. I think she's very relatable in a lot of weird ways, especially as the movie goes on, because she's basically trying to find her place in the world. That's essentially what's happening. She's trying to find her own place and be her own thing rather than just... Because I think what's funny is because when the baker is like chasing her down, he's trying to find her for the second half of the movie. At first, you think you feel like he's going to hunt her. Like he just wants to take her out now because she's jeopardizing the mission. But by the time you get to the end of the movie, you actually kind of feel like, oh, maybe he's not. Maybe he actually just wants to protect her. Because he knows where this is going to go. He knows what the path this is leading to. Because one of the movie actually opens with after the whole eye abstract thing, is the bikers that we see him first, and he actually he stops his bike after a bit of a drive, and he just walks off the road into the wild, not the wildlife, the foliage and the bushes. But it's dark, it's nighttime, so he just walks out into darkness. He just disappears. And then he walks back out carrying a body. It's actually this body that Scarlett Johansson then takes her clothes from in the next scene. And I think the implication here is that she's actually the previous alien. That's what I got from it, because the van was already there. The idea that whoever was on this mission before her was this person. And she's taking the clothes and going out. But actually, I love that shot, because when she's taking the clothes, I think it's in the van, but they give it this like all white kind of again very alien look to it, and like she's in complete silhouette looking down at her at the end, and it's just this long, and there's a lot of long shots admittedly, but but like for me the ethereal nature is what gives the movie its atmosphere, and that's not to say that you couldn't tell this in a more conventional way and it could be a great story. It could be. But for me, that's what the movie is. Like, if you take that away, it's not under the skin. Like that's kind of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
You've got that implication that she's replaced someone already, so it's kind of like this assembly line thing. But so the idea that the baker, like, is even maybe more concerned because the previous one already died in some way. We don't know how she died. Maybe a guy just fought back at some point, and maybe
Right.
she picked up the wrong person and it was dangerous, or whatever. But I think that's kind of fascinating. One of the darkest scenes, because again, this is before any of the like her gaining humanity. After the first kill, there's a scene with her at a beach,
Yeah.
in the north of Scotland, and she meets this surfer, or not surfer, just a swimmer, but he's got like he's got a wetsuit on. He's
Yeah, he looks like a body surfer.
yeah.
He's swimming, and to the people that go there and swim in that super cold water, even in like the summer, props to you.
Oh,
'Cause-
he was Czech. He's got balls. That's what he is.
yeah, yeah,
He's just even
yeah.
colder waters. I think that's his.
I guess, but
Yeah.
I would not like, man. Anyways,
But so she's just talking to him, but then there's this family nearby, and the dog. They've got a dog with them who's swimming, and he's like too far out, so their their kid starts like swimming towards the dog, and that is dangerous. The waters are getting dangerous, so the dad starts to swim out after it, and our surfer dude. He swims out to try and save, and he can only get as far to save the dad, so he pulls the dad back to shore, but the kid's too far gone. Because we see that when the surfer gets back, he is exhausted, he can't do any more, he can barely stand up when he gets the dad back. And the dad immediately gets back up and tries to go back out again after his family.
Yeah.
And I like that. I really like that because it's like, oh no, this is maybe the first spark in her head. She sees this person try to go, even though it's hopeless, to try and go and save someone. Like, this is maybe the first true spark of humanity. But one of the most haunting shots in this whole thing. I mean, she goes over and she kills the surfer. She smashes him in the back of the head with a rock just to put him out of his misery. But we see the baker come in to do the cleanup job. He like takes the tent and he gets all the belongings, and he comes and gets the body. Now there's a little baby who was with the family. And there's a baby who's there and is just crying away. And the baker never even looks at him. He never acknowledges his presence. He just gets the body, he gets the stuff, and he walks off. He doesn't care. And we get this final shot in this scene at night time, and this toddler, he's maybe 2 years old, trying to stand up while he's crying, and he can't. He's just getting there. He's just standing up. He manages to do it, but it's a real struggle for him. And we just watch him try to stand, and you almost get the feeling that this represents like humanity as a whole. We're struggling, we're trying to stand, but we just can't. But it's heartbreaking to watch because the kid's on his own. He's just been left there alone at night time. No one cares. This alien is he's not human. He does not care.
it's kind of like nature. I listen to a lot of Joe Rogan, and I love when he'll talk about the natural world because his go-to is nature doesn't give an F about you. Like, and that's just it. Is like, to go out there and try to fight nature, you're only looking to get knocked out. Because again, and he has all these stories about bears and wolves and all this really cool stuff that I enjoy. And I guess you can take that on, as a bleak view, but I always look at it as a positive thing because nature doesn't give a crap about us, but we can make ourselves better, and go out there to face that. And there's no
I don't think
saying about the but like you were saying about the surfer, he comes back. We know this is like his thing, and he comes back exhausted. But the dad's running on pure adrenaline to go out there.
Oh yeah, this is a positive moment. No, this is what I'm saying. Like this is a spark for her. I think this is the first time she witnesses something truly good for a split second, and she doesn't really take it in at this point. But this is kind of the first thing she sees of that. When I'm talking about the movie being bleak and being really dark, it's more about humanity. It's more about us being the blight than anything else.
And then again, I don't like people, but I like humanity. So I always try to see the good in it, but there's always a couple that just ruin that. Usually in traffic or at work.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying every movie should be this bleak, but this one movie wants to look at that. It wants to have that dark side to it. And I think, again, that whole theme of like trying to find her place in the world is that there's that beautiful shot when she goes to sleep just before she's like attacked by the tree cutter or whoever he is in the forest. She finds this little shack, this little hut, and she goes to sleep. And there's this beautiful shot of all the trees, and she's like superimposed over the trees as she's sleeping, and you see all the trees blowing in the wind in her like sort of face and body, and it just kind of feels that she's one with like the flow of the world. And it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous shot. As is the ending, with the like when she's we see what's under the skin, literally. But the whole idea that the movie's about the under the skin of us, like as a whole, as a people's, is really quite fascinating. I love the final moment as well with the snow. Like you see all the snow falling, the camera's looking up. It's beautiful. For me, like everything's so hypnotic. Like every shot, every moment, it's just like I feel it building. I feel it, and for me, you can do something this slow and this such a simple tone poem, where every moment's kind of like a painting on its own, and you can just appreciate it.
See, there you go with the tone poem, and that's the stuff I tend to stay away from, just because I'm just like, look, I like storytelling or filmmaking as a storytelling medium, and I was never into poetry, as it were, because like it's everything that you're just describing, So when then you go and you put that on the film medium, and I'm just like, man, I thought I went through school already. I'm out, like,
But that's the thing, poetry still tells a story. Now, I'm not a big poetry guy in written form, but if we're calling this film poetry, if we're calling this visual poetry, then sure, yeah, give me it. I love abstract movies. I love deciphering them. What do things mean? And it's not even that abstract. It's actually quite straightforward in terms of a story. Like it's not like a confusing narrative. The narrative is actually pretty laid out.
No. This wasn't nearly as confusing as some of the even Only God Forgives with that to bring it back to that, to where I was just kind of lost. Like I felt like I was missing scenes from it. This was, like you just said, very straightforward, but still, like you said, like that last scene, I wasn't nearly as moved by it. I was just like, oh, well, that sucks. That point, I was also ready for this thing to be over.
That last scene is tragic as hell. Like, that last scene hits me hard. It's also
this is proof that you have emotion and you're not a robot. So that's good.
It's also really suspenseful. Like when she's running from that guy and she feels like if the tables have turned, she is now the victim. She is the prey, and there's a predator. It feels really because you don't know where he is. You don't see him coming, and she's trying to get away. Like it's all very well shot. It's very tense. It's very, just like it has that feeling. And what I like about it as well, in terms of flipping the table, is we've always been with her. So early on in the film, we're with the predator, we're with her watching the victim, and we're in this. It almost feels voyeuristic because it's like a snuff movie almost, where we're on her side. But then at this point, in the end of the movie, it's more like a traditional horror film in the sense that we're with the victim and we don't know where the villain is, and that is really effective to me. But like no, just like everything.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting the fire. Like when he left, I figured he was getting an axe or a chainsaw. I wasn't expecting gasoline. Like, so that was something, I don't want to say nice, because again, that's a nice surprise, I guess you could say.
Oh man, no, I love, like, I know you hate this stuff, but like, for example, that scene where she meets the guy who's nice to her at the bus stop, and like the opening shot of that, she's just walking down this road, and like it's this really wide shot, and she's walking down the whole thing, and she's walking past the bus stop, and the guy stops her and says, hey, the bus will be along in a minute, like, because clearly this is out in the countryside. There's clearly not going to be like another town or whatever for a while.
Yeah.
And like, but the entire thing like takes place in this one really wide, like high angle shot, looking down at the entire sort of village. But it's just like, I love it because it's her and the world. It's how small she feels with the world around her. It's really good. Also, I like when they got on the bus driver, because there's no one else in the bus. It's just them plus the bus driver. So he's like talking back to them. He's like, "Yeah, stop trying to chat her up. She's not interested in you." Yeah, I will say if I'm going to make a complaint, and this is not even a real complaint, it's just a complaint on a personal level, is that some of the Scottish men in this make me cringe really bad.
Yeah, but I think you could just drop from Scottish to men. Because...
Oh sure, yeah. Honestly, it's what they are as men more than the fact that they're Scottish. Yeah. But the fact that they're doing it with that thick Scottish accent, it just makes me cringe a little bit more. Yeah, because they're trying to chat her up and they're being really cringe. Like, I think you're dead gorgeous, darling, and just
Yeah, we've all kind of seen that, you know, and you just kind of roll your eyes at
Yeah.
him, you know. So, but yeah, man, those guys, especially. Do you think they realized they were talking to Scarlett Johansson, or you thought, oh, this girl just looks a lot like her, or hey, that's just a pretty girl?
Do you know, I've heard this because there's shots in the movie as well where it's like it's in the van, the camera's like over the shoulder, and it's looking
Hmm.
out into like busy streets and stuff, and I'm like, man, I really kind of buy that no one noticed like she was in the van,
Yeah,
because how often do you look into like car windows when you're walking? You don't really like.
no,
Maybe occasionally, but not to the extent where you'd really
yeah,
notice people. And even if you do see her, she's got this wig on. Like, okay,
hmm
maybe you think, oh, she looks like her, but why would she be here? Because, like we say, it's
right,
not like when they were filming in the van, they had a big crew or anything like that. Like, they wanted it to be uh, in disguise. They wanted it to go
right,
unnoticed. In fact, I was reading actually the director Glazer. He didn't want to cast Johansson at first. He wanted
oh,
an unknown to be even more stealthy. The reason why he gave in was one, he saw her screen test, and of course she's very good,
yeah,
because of course she is. And then two, casting a big name like that gave him a bigger budget. So he was like, okay, you know what? Yeah, I'll cast her,
yeah,
and we'll have a big, because everyone else is unknown. There's no one else in the movie you
yeah,
remotely recognize.
no,
Uh, but I think it's fat, and she's doing the accent as well. She's got like a thick English accent for whatever reason,
yeah.
and
That was quite nice.
yeah. So, but no, I like all that stuff. And being set in Scotland, I mean, it's kind of funny being Scottish and just like because it feels like Scotland the entire time. Everything's very kind of,
Yeah.
just that little bit wet kind of feel to it.
I mean,
Scotland's
it
very
looked
fun.
like Scotland that I've seen be represented in, TV and movies.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of travel stuff too, so it's not
Do you know what I like?
everyone's.
Do you know what I actually like about it is typically one of my criticisms of Scottish movies and stuff, or movies that are set in Scotland and that kind of thing, is I feel like more often than not they have to really play up the like they'll write it because this is a Scotland movie, so we'll make it very Scottish. What I get kind of annoyed that you very rarely just see a movie that could be made anywhere. It just happens to be set in Scotland, and I feel like this
Mhm.
kind of falls into that. Where no, this is a movie about an alien hunting men down. This could have taken place anywhere. It just happens to be set in
Definitely.
Scotland, and that's kind of cool. I like that. I like that
Now, do
aspect
you
of it.
think that since the director's English, do you think there was a reason he chose Scotland?
Uh,
Is there?
well, it's the book. The book's set in Scotland,
Okay,
so
well, that makes sense.
I have no
Well,
idea.
I mean, he didn't use much from the book
That is true.
outside of kind of the synopsis, so uh,
I guess
yeah,
the bleak look of the country added to the bleak tone
makes
of the
sense.
film. to,
Yeah.
I guess I don't know, but no, it works. And I'm just That's a good question though. Like I don't know why the book was. I don't know if the authors if
Yeah.
might,
I didn't look beyond deeper than just the kind of synopsis of the book, and
oh no,
it's very sci-fi,
he's
you know.
Dutch. The writer's Dutch, so that doesn't even so.
Uh,
I'd be curious actually. I'd love to know why, but yeah, the book apparently like answers a lot of stuff you don't really need in the movie, but like it tells you what she's harvesting, why they're on Earth, and things like
See, and
that.
I like those answers. Some people think that it's a little too, spoon feedy, but I
Well,
like that might just,
it's fine
you
in
know,
certain like depending on what you're going for, it's fine. But I think here the mystery is actually adds a lot to the tone of the film. Like I feel like if we got a scene where we're seeing, oh, we need all the meat from the men for this reason, and like that's something you do in Star Trek. That's something you
yeah.
do in, I don't know, an episode of X Files or whatever. Like
I was just gonna say X Files.
yeah, like I don't feel like you need it here because it's kind of like no, you understand the concept of alien life. You understand the concept of harvesting materials. You don't really need to go any deeper than that for here. Leaving
I
it
want to
to
know what that water stuff was and why that was the method chosen. You know,
nah. See,
because
for me, the mystery is what gives it life. For me, not telling me is what makes it fascinating. Like
see, you give me a mystery, I want to figure it out, and when I want to figure it out, I want answers, even if
because
it's not
because
fulfilling to get
otherworldly,
those answers.
like see, that feeling of truly being otherworldly means that I shouldn't understand what it is. So the idea that it's kind of weird and I don't quite get what that water substance is is cool to me, because that feels genuine. But then when you have someone explain, oh, it's actually this, and it's made from this, and it does this, and I'm like, okay, whatever. Like now you've kind of lost the mystique. The mystique's a big part of it, and
man, this is one of our breakpoints. That's just it. But I mean, that's personal taste. Like, I don't think you're wrong for that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's just how you deal with that. It's why we split over Mulholland Drive so much. I think you bring a lot of yourself into that movie, and it's kind of, out of the Lynch films I've seen, it's the one that does that the most. Now, I don't know if Twin Peaks does that, but I know Blue Velvet didn't. So those are the two that I've seen.
Interesting. I'll have to pick more Lynch films for the for these votes.
Yeah,
I think that's a plan going forward. So no, I think we've talked about it.
Yeah.
Any other moments or scenes that you felt you wanted to mention?
No.
Okay. I suppose. Actually, just one minor little note. Actually, when I went to see this, I didn't know it was set in Scotland. And there's the moment after she's got her clothes and she's in the van and she's driving. It cuts to the shopping mall, and she's going to get some clothes and stuff. There's a weird moment in that scene where I realised I knew where she was, and I went, "Oh wait, I know where this is. I've been there."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Damn,
that happens a lot when there's things that are set in Vegas that I'm just like in The Hangover, there's a scene in the suite, and it's like, wow, they actually got that right, because I know what that.
I imagine it's a little bit different when it's like the Strip, kind of like Times Square. I feel like Times Square's used so often in movies that it doesn't. You don't even feel it anymore. You just don't even pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Whereas.
Okay. Well, then I'll see that and raise Jurassic Park to the places in Hawaii that I've known.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, except that's faking it for a different place, though. They're not meant to be Hawaii.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying once you know those mountains, and you see the T-Rex running through the Gallimimus, then
sure.
You're like, oh, I've stood right here.
Well,
but yeah.
There you go. That is Under the Skin. So by all means, engage. Let us know what you think of the movie. If you if you want more thoughts and theories and whatnot. But yeah, so that was Overload for the month. The vote for next month, which obviously we're actually doing this a little bit later in the month than usual, so we're actually quite near the end of the voting process. But the vote is up till the end of the month for $5 patrons and up, and it is The Neon Demon, which is a Refn film. Interestingly, you brought up Only God Forgives earlier, which I picked to combat Matt's heavy hitter, because Matt picked La La Land, which he knows I will be in pain sitting through, because I don't like musicals and it will drive me nuts. So those are the options.
See, had I liked Sweeney Todd, that's where I was going. But that's not a movie I like, and I can't lie. Again, integrity.
Yeah, the rule is that we have to like the films we pick.
Yep.
That is the one rule we have for this. So my streak, because I have now won 2 in a row. That might end. However, maybe it won't. I hope it doesn't. No, I hope I have 3 in a row, because I don't want to watch La La Land. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes.
You think I wanted to watch Under the Skin? After Under the Skin, though, I look at Neon Demon and go, "Yeah, I can take that. That's fine."
Well, it's funny because you said
gone.
that me and Tim over the last couple of years have basically turned you into a horror movie watcher, whereas before you never watched any. So we're breaking you down slowly but surely. Which, by the way, for the record, Tim loves Under the Skin, which I didn't know. I just saw Matt complain that he had to watch it, and then Tim chimed in, "Oh, I love that movie." And I'm like, "Yeah, Tim, yeah, let's unite."
I was like, "Tim, here's your knife back." I thought we were cool.
Anyway, so that's Under the Skin. So let us know what you think of the movie. Comments below, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. I mentioned it already, but obviously you can support us over at patreon.com/mailfuzztv. All the movie content, the gigawatts, the 121 gigawatts, which is me and Matt doing new movies. Obviously we'll have... October's been quite quiet for those, but next month we do have Thor, Justice League, Murder on the Orient Express. They're all sort of in the pipeline, so you can look forward to those. We have 121 in Flux, which me and Connor do, which is just sort of old movies of varying kinds. We do that weekly, so check out all that stuff. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching. We always appreciate it. Keep watching movies, guys, and we'll see you next time.